made. Right, 7:45.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Talking politics with Phil Goff.
Leader of the Labour Party, Mr. Phil Goff, with us this morning. Good morning to you, Phil.
G'day, Wammo. Another beautiful day in the Queen City, and you won't see a bit of it because you're locked in your studio.
I am. In my little box there, I can just see through a window that there is some sunlight out there. That's nice to know that the sun has come up today.
Beautiful day, and you've got to think of those people over the Tasman, our brothers and sisters in Australia, who are going through absolute hell. You just imagine what it's like going back into your home. The floodwaters have been up to the ceiling. The home's devastated. Lots of people are still missing, and an enormous and a filthy clean-up job to do. So our thoughts are with them while we bask in the sunshine. For those people that have suffered from the floods. And also, you've got to say, in Brazil and Sri Lanka and Brazil, maybe 1,000 people died. It's pretty appalling.
There's more New Zealanders in Queensland than there is here in New Zealand, isn't there?
There's 150,000 of them, and there'll be a lot of Kiwis that will be affected by the floods. None that I know of that have been killed, but a lot of people whose livelihoods, whose homes, and whose lives have been pretty dramatically affected by it. So
we do have some responsibility to help out there, don't we?
Well, I think we do, not simply because of the Kiwis, that makes it closer to home, but because that's what good neighbours and good friends do. And, the Aussies were very helpful to us at the time of Pike River. They made the Queensland Rescue Team available, met with some of those people down in Blackball just a couple of weeks ago. So when we're in trouble, they help out. When they're in trouble, we help out, and that's the way it should be.
What do you make of the decision, talking about Pike River, to hand over the responsibility of recovery to the receivers?
Well, I think it's an appalling decision in the way that it was executed. I'd talked to Tony Cockshawn and Bernie Monk when I was down the coast about 8 or 9 days ago. And I've talked to Bernie just on Friday. He said the families were never kept in the loop. They were never given the information. Some of the information that they have available to them is directly contradictory to what John Key has been saying. And the fact is, what the government needed to do, the government was up front there at the time of the memorial service, it was very prominent at that stage, but it was nowhere to be seen when the hard decision had to be taken about whether the recovery would continue. And so the police stumbled through that announcement and then said it was for the receivers. Well, the receivers are accountants. They don't make decisions about where the priority of, closure for the families might be. And the receivers say, well, it's not their responsibility, it should be the police. I think the government should have been upfront and honest. The coasters respect that. They're straight-talking people. They want to know the truth, plain and unvarnished. And they want answers to their questions. And the fact that they feel now obliged to take legal action it just indicates how badly this has been handled.
But what if the truth is that in the foreseeable future there's no way that anyone can get in there and recover these men? Well,
if that's the truth, then people accept it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If there are safety factors that prevent it. But John Key was saying, the gag machine's burned out, we can't finish the job. I understand from the families down there that the job that the gag machine was brought in to do has been finished. It's relatively stable. Now, that's what they believe. Now, if the government has evidence to the contrary, why don't they come out with it, give it to the families directly first and foremost, but give it to the rest of us as well, because everybody remembers that pledge. We will do everything possible to recover the bodies. And all we're asking is, have actually we done everything possible? If that's the case, you accept the decision. But the way in which it's been handled, we don't actually know whether that is the truth.
Okay, well, let's move on to holidays. And the fact that this year we're missing out on two public holidays, Anzac Day and Waitangi Day, because they fall either on a weekend or, in the case of Anzac Day, on Easter Monday. Now, you've already come out and said, well, maybe the government should be offering up or Monday-ising these holidays, but really this decision should have been made years ago. The calendar has been in place. I mean, I'm all for Monday-ising these holidays, but really this should have happened under your government, Phil.
Yeah, well, for one reason or another, it wasn't an issue when it last came up. It has come up again. Our caucus has talked about it. One of our caucus members has drafted a members' bill that will go into Parliament asking for that. And basically what we're saying is, if it's good enough for 5 years out of 7 to have a public holiday to commemorate Anzac Day and Waitangi Day, then it's good enough to do it every year. I wouldn't actually Mondayize the celebration. I'd still have the celebration or the commemoration of Anzac Day on the day that it falls.
Of course.
But you'd give the Monday off because the public holiday is part of that commemoration.
Yeah, because regardless of the commemoration, those public holidays should be accounted for by employers year after year, right?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. You can't say I can afford it 5 years out of 7, but I can't afford it 7 years out of 7. The Aussies have done the same thing. I think we should follow suit there.
There are complications, though, with people in the services industry who do work on those days. So which day do they get time and a half?
Well, you can work out those details. They're not impossible to resolve. The question is a matter of principle. Should we have, as the Holidays Act says, 11 statutory holidays a year, each and every year, or twice every 7 years do we only have 9? And to be frank with you, Wammo, I don't know whether you recall it, but I can't even remember the issue coming up in the past, but it has come up now, and we've made a decision on it, and that decision is 7 out of 7.
Yeah, but I think because last year we also missed out on, I think it was either Anzac or Waitangi. Or maybe, I think it's 2 years in a row that we've missed out on both.
Yeah, the Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And of course, strangely enough, Anzac Day this day falls on Easter Monday. Well, you can't do anything much about that. So, look, I think we should just bite the bullet and do it. I mean, maybe one of the reasons that it didn't come up under Labor was that Labor had legislated for 4 weeks holiday.
Yeah.
Everybody said that wasn't affordable, but, the Aussies have had 4 weeks holiday for everybody for 15 years. And we say, well, why are people leaving New Zealand going to Australia? Well, if you consistently have better conditions in Australia than in New Zealand, then we'll lose some of our best and brightest people overseas.
But also, I think for while we're looking at this particular issue, why not also sort out the issue of no public holiday between Queen's birthday and Labour Day, which is a huge slog.
It is a big gap, and I think we all feel it through those harsh winter months, waiting for the next long weekend. But look, you do things one at a time, and I think the issue in front of us now is to have consistency in 11 statutory holidays a year.
So that's 7 years away, is 3 governments away.
It's effectively 5 years away, isn't it? If we've got this year, it'll be another 5 years, 6 years before it comes up. So I mean, that's another reason why cost shouldn't be. Everybody says, can you afford it? Well, at the moment the economy's in the doldrums, but if the economy's still in the doldrums in 6 years' time, we're going to have broader problems than this to confront.
This is true. Thanks very much, Phil.
Okay, Wammo, all the best, mate. Catch up with you next week.
All right.
Cheers.
That is the leader of the Labour Party, Phil.